Hi everybody, Joe Apello here, George Connor on my left. All Sports Talk with Joe and George. It's Game 7 World Series. One of the two best words in sports, Game 7, is that what they say?
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, so we're filming this on Cabbage Night, October 30th, night before Halloween.
Okay.
Halloween's going to be pretty bad tomorrow. I think all the kids should go as the Gorton Fishermen because it's going to rain the whole day.
You go trunk or treat.
Maybe go to the mall. Maybe go to the mall and see what they're doing.
Well, they don't go to my house. The lights off, didn't they go?
Yeah, so Game 7, so let's see. Nobody's won a home game.
Nope, first time ever, right? Almost.
And I think, you can fact check me at the end of the show if you want, but I'm pretty sure 2011 was the last time there was a Game 7 that the home team won.
Oh, wow.
So the odds are in favor of the Washington Nationals on the road, which would be pretty crazy if, think about you go 7 games and nobody wins at home.
Well, you got to figure the home field advantage in baseball is not as prevalent as in other sports. It's obviously you get bat last. I guess that would be the biggest advantage. But otherwise, your crowd noise and things like that, you're kind of focusing on what you're doing. It's like football where you can. Yeah,
you can take crowd out of it in no time.
Especially if you're scoring the first inning.
Yeah.
Jump on the guy right away.
Yeah.
But the games are pretty good. I mean, there is a lot of drama no matter what. I think America like to have the 7th game. It's always exciting. Justin Verlander has had a tough series. He pitched last night.
Oof, he's had a
never
horrible series.
Never won a World Series game, I don't think.
He has not.
He has not.
He's pitched in more. I think he's pitched in more games
5 or
than
6,
any.
Maybe.
I think it might be 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I think he's pitched in more games than anybody
5,
else. He doesn't have a win.
Yeah.
They're not all losses, but.
And you can check off all the other boxes. World Series, MVP, Cy Young. He's got all the other boxes checked off. Yep. Kate Upton. He's got them all checked off there. Oh my God.
We'll leave that where it is.
Yeah. So he's got all those boxes checked off. But unfortunately, for some reason, he has trouble in the World Series postseason.
Yeah, no, he didn't pitch terrible last night.
No. He always has that first inning bugaboo. He has like 16.20 ERA in the first inning, which, maybe, one guy's going, maybe you should go down the bullpen and pitch the batters in the box. I mean, come on. I mean, you don't think he's tried all this stuff. You don't think he's, it's just one of those things.
Right.
Or just the way it happens. I mean, then you had game 5 where Max Scherzer had back and neck spasms. And couldn't even get out of bed, couldn't even put his own clothes on. His wife had to help him get dressed, and he couldn't pitch Game 5, which at the time was obviously huge. And they had to start Joe Ross, who had only pitched 2 innings in the whole World Series up to that point. And he's not bad, but you know Max Scherzer. And then I guess he had a cortisone shot the next day and was feeling much better. And he was throwing yesterday on the mound, in the bullpen, and on flat ground.
Yep.
So turns out he is a Game 7 starter for the Nats. So it might be a blessing in disguise. Who knows?
Yeah.
The question is, how effective will he be?
Yeah. So who's going for the Astros?
Greinke, who probably is a Hall of Famer, amazingly enough. The thing about Greinke is that in earlier years, not so much now, but he's had anxiety in big situations. I know he's had didn't want to be in the spotlight for some reason. And that's one reason he didn't want to go to the Yankees when he was a free agent. And but he's no choice now. He's in the biggest spotlight as you could possibly be now in Game 7 of the World Series.
Well, that's not that's not a really good thing to be.
No, it's not.
You got your starter in Game 7, who's arguably a Hall of Famer, and he's not comfortable in the spotlight.
They were asking him last night. He goes, "Oh, there's a game tomorrow." That was pretty funny, actually. But he's funny because he's a different kind of pitcher than those other guys. Strasburg and all these other guys and Verlander are all. Cole, Scherzer are all power pitchers, 90, 95, 99 sometimes.
So they're throwers.
And Greinke's the opposite, 89, 88.
Kind of Pedro at the end of his career. A lot of those guys that last a long time, they kind of transform into pitchers.
I have to say I was totally wrong on the Jets being New England 2 weeks ago.
Well, we'll get to football a little bit, but for the record,
I'll throw it out there.
For the record,
that was bad. We hope no one put any money on that. I know.
Didn't bet any nickels or pennies or peanuts or whatever it was.
All right. So last night's game was.
Okay. We'll get back to football.
Back on track. Later. Last night's game had a lot of controversy in the. I think it was the 8th inning when Trey Turner got called out for running into the first baseman. I guess.
Interference.
Which I was totally flabbergasted by it. I didn't understand where's Turner supposed to go. He was a little bit on the inside of the baseline, but the pitcher who fielded the little number made a bad throw into the runner, and Gurriel's glove came off. I think it made it look worse than it was.
Yeah.
And the ball trickled.
I think the glove hit Turner.
Hit Turner.
Yeah.
Right. So, but where is Turner supposed to go?
So, according to the rule, if you think of what a baseball diamond looks like, you've got the line that goes from home plate to first base.
Yep.
And then in the last 30 feet is that little extra line.
Yep.
That's the runner's lane.
Right.
So what the runner's expected to do is be in foul territory in that runner's lane.
The last 40.
And then at the last second, go touch the base.
Yep.
Now, he may have been in fair territory earlier,
right,
which may have distracted the pitcher or whatever else. Most guys do. But as his foot is getting ready to touch the bag, and in my mind, he's entitled to do this. I mean, what's he going to do? Go 89 feet and 6 inches and then step over and hit the bag.
Right.
So, I mean, as his foot is touching the bag, 50% of his body's in foul territory, 50% in fair territory.
Just running through the bag.
And so according to the rules, because Joe Torre, who works for the league, can't really throw anybody under the bus, says, oh, no, that's the proper interpretation. My problem with it is, I mean, has this ever been called in the last 5 years?
I don't know.
I mean, something that subtle. Now, if it's blatant, if it's A-Rod, remember A-Rod like slapping the slapping. I mean, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But you pick the 8th inning of Game 6 of the World Series to do this,
right?
And then they spend, I think it was 4 minutes on the headset.
Right.
What are we doing on the headset? You can't review it.
Can't overturn
it. You can't withdraw the call or whatever else. So here's a guy who calls interference, and then stops the game for 4 minutes to talk to New York.
What they were doing,
only to explain it to the manager.
What they were doing on the headset though is Dave Martinez protested the game at that point.
Yeah.
So they were calling New York to lodge the protest and to get their input on it, whichever.
Yeah. And then he got thrown. The first time since I think it was Earl Weaver.
Well, the other thing is you cannot review a judgment call.
Right. Yeah. There's no review.
No review. So for them going to headset was a mute point too.
Like you said, that was just.
Interesting, really.
We want to interpret the rule or whatever else. Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things. In playoff of any sport, say take playoff basketball.
Yeah.
They're gonna go a little loose. Once you get in the playoffs in football, they're not gonna call so many holding calls. Yeah. They're gonna let it go a little bit. To throw this one out in the 8th inning was crazy. Now that being said, it didn't change the game at all.
Right.
Because Rendon comes.
But they went from possibly second throw with no outs to run out first and 1 out. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
And then
now Rendon steps up.
Then Rendon had a 2-run homer.
Yeah.
Right? And
now it could have been a 3-run homer.
Then they had if they would have pitched to him. Right. They had first base open, but they probably would have. But anyway, so the problem is that what I have is that it just. You can call it the way you want, but the thing is that I didn't think Turner. He was just running through the bag, and it just so happened this is the way it played out. And as a first baseman, you're always supposed to give the target to the inside the diamond when the guy throws it. But
pitcher made a bad throw.
He threw it. Yeah, he made a bad throw. He rewarding a bad throw into the runner and penalizing the runner. So
and like I say, if Turner was in fair territory earlier, fine. And if that caused the pitcher, but I mean, again, his foot is about to touch the bag, and he's 50% in fair territory, 50% in foul territory. I don't know how you make that call.
Where are you supposed to go?
Exactly.
Where are you supposed to go?
Yeah. I mean, do you go to like in softball? You know what's going on in softball now?
Yeah.
They have the base that's in fairground, so they have a white first base in fairground, and then next to it, in foul territory, is an orange base, and the runner stays in foul territory the whole time. I mean, is that what we have to get to?
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that play happened once that play last night probably happened once in 10 years.
Yeah.
It just so happened. It was just magnified at the time.
Yeah.
The other thing that Dave Martinez comes out in the 9th inning, he goes berserk. And I laugh because you see him going crazy and they're holding him back. Now, what if they let him go? What's he going to do? Beat the
get arrested for assault?
Punch the guy in the face and then what? I think you just want to get into his face and get him close like that. Yeah. But I mean, at that point, but I think he did it just for the mere fact that
I think he
shows
has
players
I
that
think
he was,
has
yeah, he was standing up for them.
And a lot of times, I think we might have talked about this on the show, but Tommy Lasorda, who was, I mean, whether you're a Dodger fan or not, he was one of the greats of all time.
It's a show.
Would I mean, I saw an interview after he retired, and he would do exactly that. He has to go out and argue a call, and he would literally get nose to nose with the referee or with the umpire. And he'd be yelling, screaming at him to make the show look good. But he'd be talking about like the Italian restaurant he went to for dinner last night.
Like, throw me out, please throw me out. What are you talking about? Throw me out.
I'm done. Get me out of here.
All right. But that's the same in basketball. The guy will say, "Man, give me a take." Why? Because I need to get my.
I got to fire people up. Yeah.
But it was. Anthony Rendon's been having a great series. He's funny because he's almost like, he reminds me like an old school player. I never even knew much about him until this year, but I guess he was College Player of the Year at Rice University, 2011. But after the game was over, they had him and Adam Eaton on the post game, and they came over to talk to Mark Teixeira and those guys. And boy, Rendon's not really built. He's not jacked like you see some of these guys that are just like
guys,
and he's not big. He's probably 6 foot, and Eaton's smaller, but he's more compact and looks stronger. But Eaton looks like an old time. I mean, Rendon looks like an old time ball player. But it's funny about it, some of those guys, you don't know where they generate their power from. They get it from their legs and their lower half.
And same as the pitcher. I mean, these guys that are throwing 100 miles an hour, they're not jacked upstairs.
Right.
I mean, it all comes very similar to the golf swing, which we'll talk about someday.
Here we go.
I mean, oh, geez, come on. A lot of our listeners want to know how to hit the golf ball.
We got 45 minutes for that.
I have answers.
Now, how about, do you see when Alex Bregman hit the home run? First thing he carried the bat down to first.
Carried the bat down to first base, it's out of line. But who was it? Somebody said, Soto. Was it Soto?
It's the same thing.
Said, I want to do that.
And it's funny, both first base coaches are going, what are you doing? You're not with your freaking bat. Give me a high five. That was funny, though. I mean, but Bregman did own up after the game. He said, I shouldn't have done that. That was,
and, it was one of those things.
That's the first time I've ever seen that. I've never seen a guy carry a bat down.
In the moment,
I've never seen a guy carry a bat down to first base.
Did he plan it, or was it just one of those things that, So, I mean, again, by the time this gets on the air, the game will be 7-8 days behind.
Who are you picking?
Just on the fact that for the away team to win all 7 games, I just find is like, that's way too weird for me.
Against them.
So I got to go with the Astros. Even though I just said that the odds go
for my money, I think the Nats are a better bet for the simple fact that they've got Scherzer. If Scherzer's anything like he usually is, the Astros are in trouble. Because he can give you 4 or 5, and you got Corbin that can pitch, and you got Sanchez that can pitch. Those other 2 starters are excellent throwers, and they're better than who the Astros would have as their second and third guys in that situation. Now, Cole could probably pitch an inning or 2. I mean,
but now this gets back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago, and some of it comes back to how good is the manager at, what do you do? Do you panic? Do you, do you stick with the formula? Do you stick with the recipe that got you to Game 7 of the World Series? Or do you start to try to be the smartest guy in the room and start throwing starters in there in positions that they're not, like Kershaw, where they're not prepared, they're not used to that.
Well, yesterday pregame they showed Scherzer throwing flat ground, just fine. He said it was okay, and then he was actually in the bullpen warming up. Now, I don't believe they had any intention of bringing him in. Any intention, unless they were behind by a run or something, and it was just like this last effort to hold the fort. But there's no way, and that's always warming up the bullpen. I'm like, he's not going in. There's no way. There's no way. Again, same thing you said. You got 3 or 4 other guys that can come in there for an inning or 2, and he still had Corbin.
And you got there using that formula. In July, you weren't throwing starters out there to pitch the 8th inning. One of the obvious. I mean, I say this. I think it's obvious that you can't take a starter and throw them out there with men on base. I think if you're going to do that, the guy's got to start the.
Well, it's obvious a situation where it's the last game of the year, and there's no rules to follow now. It's just whatever you need to do with your. You can bring a guy for.
But I think the rule is you follow how you got there. You
dance
with who you
to
brought.
an extent. I mean that's the argument goes both ways. The other thing too is a big situation last night's game was second, third one out, and Altuve was up. And Strasburg made him look silly. And he swung a 2-bat pitch, and they swung the ball in the dirt in the outside corner and struck him out. That was a big turning point in that game. Altuve usually makes contact, always tries to run in, always gets a big hit, but he had a bad game last night. He didn't do anything. And I think he was 0 for 3, 0 for 4, and didn't put the ball in play at all.
Yeah, we didn't mention this in the last show, but in the Yankee series. Sorry to bring that up again.
I'm over it.
But you're okay?
Yeah.
You're healed?
Yeah,
Scabbed? Band-Aid?
On.
Okay.
Moved on.
The bleeding has stopped. Okay, good.
On.
Altuve was going to third on a ground, or from third to home on a ground ball. Immediately knew he was, he made a mistake or whatever else.
Yeah.
The cool thing is he got in a rundown, and as he's in a rundown, he's directing guys.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the most veteran plays I've ever seen.
And whoever hit the ball.
You made a mistake, but as he's in the rundown, he's telling a guy, I'm not going back to third. You go to third.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was something you don't see very often.
And you look at it the other way, it's really not a mistake. It's a good shot because the guy can boot the ball or throw it away, and you still got second and third with, you get guys that throw the ball first
so,
anyway.
So he had the awareness of,
make a difference.
I'm going to get in a rundown, but I'm also going to help these other guys which I thought I was pretty impressed with.
That was good, yeah.
I actually put that on Twitter.
And plus, twice it happened, and whoever hit the ball, each time went to second, just kept on going.
Yeah.
And out of, the second time when Altuve was doing, there was literally nobody covering second anyway.
Right.
Not even center fielder can waltz. Center would go waltz in and stand there just in case. But I mean, there's nobody covering second base anyhow, so it didn't make a difference.
Yep.
But it's been kind of fun. It's been very unpredictable though. There's no rhyme or reason to anything that's been happening in the series to me.
No. The Nationals go home. They score.
They outscored 19-3.
I was going to say 3 games.
3 games, 19-3.
Three runs in 3 games.
They got their butt kicked, and they won the first 2 games. They won the first game 5-4, and they won the second game 12-3. Well, they broke that open late, and then they outscored 19-3.
Then they scored 7 runs last night.
Yeah, it just go up and down and unpredictable. What's going on. But I don't care who wins. But I mean, it has been kind of fun to watch. Now the other thing too with the Astros, you've got Cole's going to be a free agent.
Yep.
So he might have pitched his last inning or game for them, depending on what happens tonight, obviously. But rumor has it he might go to the Angels. He's a West Coast guy, and I'm sure he's going to get some big bucks. So they might lose him. There's nobody else really on that team that's going to be up for free agent is going to go. But Rendon's a free agent, so the series he's having, who knows where he's going to go, if he stays or goes or what. But they'd be wise to try to re-sign him if they could, if he wants to stay. I don't know what the situation. And Strasburg is a unrestricted free agent also, too, so he can go. Yeah. He's a big guy, Strasburg. He's 6'3", 240, 250.
And boy, did he throw a game last night.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just settled down.
Really stepped up. Eight and a third.
Said he was tipping his pitches or something. First inning.
Yeah.
Pitch goes. I don't know how you do that, but yeah. So had a couple shots, but yeah, he was lights out. He was tough. And again, he pitched in the ninth inning, got the first out in the ninth inning. Took him out, and that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now Joe Girardi got hired by the Phillies, so obviously the Mets didn't get him.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, the Mets. Who's going to coach the Mets? They're waiting for.
They call you?
Not yet.
But I mean, so. As a Jets and Mets fan, my argument is, what's the worst organization? Now, the Knicks would be worse than those two. But so the Wilpons, 2 years ago, they bring in Terry Callaway.
Mickey Callaway.
Or Mickey Callaway. He's got no track record.
About Terry Collins and Mickey Callaway, a combination of both.
Exactly.
Terry Callaway.
I mean, he's got no history or whatever else, but he's cheap.
Yeah.
So, and then 2 years later, they fire him. So what do they do now? They had a chance to, give Girardi, $4.5 million, whatever it's going to be. Yeah. And now you got a guy who he knows what he's doing. Yeah. There's no bones about it.
Handles New York fine.
And you let him go.
It's amazing. And you got Callaway. You already went down that road where a first-year manager has never managed before at any level as far as being head coach.
Yeah.
And you see what happens there. Now, the other thought process is that wasn't Van Wagenen's guy. So maybe he wants his guy. But Van Wagenen's no
Van
genius.
Wagenen is not. He doesn't have a guy.
He's no genius. He's no genius anyway. I mean, who said that he knows what he's doing?
If he was a GM for the last 20 years,
That's right.
We talked about Kevin Kennedy on the show or whatever else.
Right,
Okay,
right.
yeah, you have your guys.
Right.
You were an agent a year and a half ago.
Right. You know what kind of guy you're looking for. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
And he made some stupid moves during the year. Then you've got the candidates left are all basically former players or bench coaches that have never been a head coach in
in baseball.
baseball. Yeah. So you're going from Callaway one and going to a guy that's parallel to them or just the same.
Exactly.
Different names. So what do you think?
It's like playing Powerball.
I
didn't win this week, but maybe I'll win next week.
A year from now, we'll be talking about the same thing. They fired this guy. I absolutely agree with you. I think Girardi was definitely the best bet.
Yep.
Now, then the Cubs went and hired David Ross, which I think was a great hire, but he's on along the same lines as Aaron Boone. But Ross is kind of a different character. I think he could be a tough guy, but he could be a good guy, and I think he's perfect for the Cubs since he played for them. And I think that's a great hire. Yeah. Now, also this guy Murphy, I think for the Padres emerged as another candidate. Tim Bogart, first base coach for the Nationals, is a candidate. Eduardo Perez is a candidate. Carlos Beltran's a candidate.
Reggie Jackson actually endorsed Carlos Beltran for what that's worth.
Yeah, what that's worth. Yeah.
That $1 can get you a soda down at the,
I guess Buck Showalter was never even considered. I guess they didn't even want, I think.
we don't want to consider him because he has experience.
Yeah. And he's a presence in the club. But I think they didn't want a presence. I think they want someone that Van Wagenen can boss around or tell what to do, or almost like a Jerry Jones, Jason Garrett type thing. I don't know, but
I don't know.
But they've taken a long time to do this. They're waiting until series gets over and hire Bogart or
Tim Bogart, Eduardo Perez, Carlos Beltran, Derek Shelton.
Yeah, who knows Derek Shelton? Who is that? I mean, I don't even know where he's from or what.
He used to sell car insurance. Or
yeah,
something.
Exactly. Yeah, he works for Home Depot. Another wrong Home Depot. But
we're not either endorsing or we're talking about.
But it's just incredible how. Why wouldn't you go out and try something different rather than a rookie manager that has no experience?
Yeah. Especially now. I mean, you have so many pieces in place.
Yeah.
You have a great pitching rotation.
Absolutely.
You need some bullpen work. I still say Diaz is going to go closer. But you've got all these young players we talked about all summer. You've got all these pieces in place, and you're going to hire some guy who's got no experience. It makes zero sense.
You don't think the players know that too? The parent players, like, this guy knows what he's doing. I'll just do whatever I want, or I'll tell him what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Instead of going like Buck Shoulders, like, no, this is what we're doing. This is our philosophy. This is what we're thinking about. This is how we're running things. You don't like it? Hit the road.
Yeah.
And that's what they need, I think. They need that. I think most teams need that. Now, that works for a while. Now, in a year or two, if that kind of manager doesn't adapt or kind of get a little more flexible, a la Joe Girardi said that was one of his problems. But then Girardi probably fits in better with Philly, who needs that kind of discipline with Harper and these other guys. Yeah. But you can debate for hours. And then the other line is that how important is a manager? Some people think it's very important. Some people said it doesn't matter. It's the players. But I think your manager can decide a number of different games based on obviously pitching decisions, lineup, things like that. Yeah. Now, 4 or 5 games that can make a difference between making the playoffs or not. And
sure. And here's the Mets that a week to go in the season, 5-6 games to go in the season. If their manager had gotten 4 wins for them, it's a whole different deal.
Right.
And now instead of the Nationals being in the World Series, the Mets would have got knocked out in the wild card, and something else would have happened. But who knows?
But
I think part of it is it's in-game decisions and it's lineup, but it's culture.
Yeah.
And like I say, with all these young players, you've got a 72-year-old pitching coach or whatever else, but you need some balance, and so you get some young coaches, whatever, hitting coaches, third base coaches, whatever else.
Was there.
But have some, have your manager as the guy who's been there. Right. This isn't new. I've been here before. This is how we handle this. Yeah. We've talked about it a lot with Belichick. How does Belichick handle off weeks and things like that? Yeah. Well, you get a guy who's never been there before, and those are the little things that, they're going to show up. Yeah. So.
And the thing is, with a guy like Belichick, he has the credentials, he has the creed to to get away with that stuff because he's won.
Yeah.
So until you win, it's hard for the players to believe that you know what you're doing. So we'll see that. But you just hope you don't go through another year like we just went through it with the Mets. It's just like, why is it so difficult? You got your players.
I want to pause for a second.
God.
Joe's a Yankee fan. George is a Mets fan. But he said we went through this together, which is nice. We bonded right there.
I mean,
this is a moment.
I don't mind the Mets. I don't hate these teams like the Red. Even the Red Sox, I don't even hate. I don't like certain players on the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But I think generally the Mets, I think, I really like. I like some of the guys that they have, and some of the guys not so much. I think Conforto is totally overrated. I don't think he's. I think he's a below average player.
They have a lot. There's a couple holes they need to fill or whatever else. If Frazier goes, do you put Neal in third or whatever else?
DeGrom's amazing.
But they have the pieces, and why chintz out and go cheap on the manager?
Right.
Whatever. You're going to pay a manager $1.5 million? Throw him another $3 million or whatever else. Get a Girardi, get a Showalter or something like that.
Funny. Everybody compares.
Knows what they're doing.
Everybody's like, what's new now? What's trending now? The Astros obviously are a very good team last 3 years. They won 100 games last 3 years. Now, why is that? Okay, they've got Altuve and Springer and Brantley and Correa and Bregman. Now, you think these guys just appear all of a sudden?
Right.
First, they were brought up in the system. They're different. They're great guys with a great attitude. And they play the game the right way. Now, it's very rare you have 4, 5, or 6, 7 of those guys.
Right.
And that shows in the way they're winning games. And then that carries over to other guys. Michael Brantley, who they got from the Indians, they wouldn't have got him unless he was their type of guy.
Yeah.
To fit in with the clubhouse.
So there's a culture.
There's a culture there.
Which is set by the general manager and the manager.
Right, which is underrated by people like the Mets and things like that.
And then what do the Astros do during the season? They go out and they get Verlander.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas, then there's other organizations in a huge market. And I've said this a million times. If the Mets are in Kansas City, it's a successful organization.
Right.
They go to the playoffs on a pretty regular basis. They were in the World Series in 2015. Yep. They were there. Yep. But they're not in Kansas City. They're in New York City. Yep. And I'm convinced until the Wilpons stop owning the Mets, we might get lucky from time to time, but this is kind of what we're stuck with.
Yeah. Then you got a guy like AJ.
I'm fed up about it, Joe.
AJ Hinch, who's like a great manager, but he's also he's into all those players, and they like him. They want to play for him, and he's also part of their culture, as they all are. And I just think they've got a nice blend. Dave Martinez of the Nationals, I don't know if he's a good manager or not. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell. But I think
it's a stacked team.
Yeah, I think Hinch is a real good manager, though. Again, how do you tell who's a good manager who's not? Is it just one loss? Is it attitude? Is it the players? Is it? I think.
Yeah, you can look at in-game decisions.
Right.
Like, that was a bad pitching move.
Right.
You were questioning the lineup of the Yankees and the ALCS.
Yep.
There's that kind of stuff. But behind closed doors, there have been managers of teams that at the right time during a season, they have the closed door meeting.
Right.
And they, whether it's regain control or refocus the team or whatever else it is. And then, you had, and I always loved Bobby Valentine for what he did for the Mets, but he went up to Boston and completely lost the, so we know about those sorts of things, but it's those little things behind.
He was a control freak that he couldn't handle.
Yeah, and he had no control of that.
Yeah. But it's just, you could debate. And look at teams that go through a new manager every year. New players every year, same old thing all the time. You keep on the same mistakes over and over again.
Year.
Yeah, every year. Then you give out a big contract to a guy like Machado or Harper, and then you're stuck with them for Stan. You're stuck with them for the next 8, 10 years. Yeah. And what kind of culture do they bring? How do you pay a guy $30 million a year when 6 of your guys that play with them don't make that combined?
Yeah.
How does that work for a Pleasant club? It doesn't, to me. So that's one of the biggest things about that is that these contracts, these guaranteed contracts, like the Red Sox are facing that right now. They've got Price, Eovaldi, and Sale in those 3 big money contracts. Yeah. And their goal is to avoid the luxury tax, or lower the luxury tax for this coming year. That's why they fired Dombrowski, because he got him into this situation.
Yeah.
They got J.D. Martinez, who I don't think they're going to keep. because and they got Mookie. He's a free agent.
Yep.
And so they've got those. What to do with them? You know, they got Sale tied up, Sale and Price, and
I mean,
kinda
so
hang
between
tight.
what Betts and
Martinez. Yep.
Do you let them both go?
Yeah, you can't afford to keep both. That's the problem, because if you're paying both, your electric tax goes sky high, and then that's what they're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
So they both one of them's got to go.
One of them's got to go, and that's like one of those catch-22s. Like, oh, you know.
And then
Now, because the Red Sox might pull this off, but if that was a situation the Mets were in, you know, the guy they kept is going to flame out, and the guy that goes somewhere else is going to, he's going to hit 332.
You can look at it a couple ways. You can, you can get rid of Jackie Bradley, put Betts in center, put Martinez solely in right field.
Yeah.
Your tax is going to be up there, but you got your outfield with Benintendi, Betts, and J.D. Martinez is awesome. That could be the best hitting outfield in the league.
Yeah.
And then you got,
except for Conforto, Cespedes.
Yeah. Who? You said the C word? You brought it up. I did. I usually say I've been dying to say something about him. But anyway, then you got third base. You got Devers, Bogarts, second base, God knows who, and first base.
Yeah, it's a heck of a line.
So they've got some big choices and with the advent of the Yankees still being strong and the Tampa Bay the way they play this year, but they've got their work cut out for them. The poor old Red Sox are. I don't know what they got for pitching though. If they, how healthy is Sale? How healthy is Price? Evaldi? What's going to happen to these guys? It's just so many. Yeah, so many things. I heard a rumor today that Francisco Lindor is going to go to the Dodgers. Did you hear that one?
I did not.
And Corey Seager is a free agent. Now, as far as the Yankees go with their players, rumor had they're going to lose Didi. Didi's a free agent.
Okay.
So I don't know if they want to pay him or not. And he had a bad second half of the year. Maybe because of Tommy John surgery he had earlier. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows what happened? But he didn't play well toward the end. Now they can move Torres to shortstop, put LeMahieu at second, and at first base go with Voit and Ford. Lefty, righty, put two, and then they got Urshela and O'Hara third, and O'Hara will be back. And then they got Sanchez catching and Romine. And Romine's a free agent too, so I don't know if he'll stay or go or not. Then the outfield they have, Hicks has got Tommy John surgery, so he's out for the year, so he's done. And then you've got obviously Judge, right?
No, he's having that done now, or
yeah, he just had it done. Yeah,
oh, he did. Okay.
8 to 10 months out, so he's done.
So that's the difference between again comparing franchises. The difference between the Yankees and the Mets.
Maybe there's Ellsbury sighting.
Oh please, he's hanging out with Cespedes.
yeah, during Cabo.
Because when Matt Harvey, I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
Harvey.
Yeah, Playboy.
He was going to have Tommy John surgery. You know when he had it? The end of February.
Of course.
What are we doing?
Right before spring training.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas,
time to hang out.
Whereas any other team, any other organization,
October
season's
1st.
over. Boom. Here we go.
Yeah, let's get it done so I can get back. Yeah.
Harvey.
Then there was another thing with this guy Skaggs, the Angels that died. Did you see that? When he OD'd about a month ago, 2 months ago, and they were saying that there was stuff given to him by Angel players or coaches or something. And Harvey was one of the guys mentioned actually, and that there's a couple of guys that mentioned that he was hanging out with.
A lot of, I'm not gonna say anything, but there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes there with Harvey. So, is it time to talk about golf yet or not yet?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get there.
Audience is still awake. Oh, hey, oh. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to the Yankees for one more second. So Gardner, I don't know if he'll come back or not. I'm fine if he does, but just not, and maybe as a full-time player. I like Mike Tauchman. I think he's one of my guys. I love the way that guy plays. He should be in left. Judge in right, and then center field you can put Gardner or even Maven. Yeah. So I like that part of it. And you got Tyler Wade that should be able to contribute this year, and they should be fine. But they have to get a big pitcher. They have to get a big stud, big stopper in there. They've got to get someone that can, pencil in that's going to be a top flight starter, no question. They're probably going to go after Cole, but they can't afford him. And I don't think he goes to the Yankees. I think he goes West Coast. So the Yankees are kind of see what happens with them.
Yeah.
But they're stuck with Stanton for 8 more years. So that's a killer to me. It's a killer for me. They say Greg Bird's hitting the heck out of the ball in the fall league. That's what I hear. So
The Arizona Fall League?
yeah, it's Greg Bird spotting.
Light air out there. Light air out there.
We'll see if he stays healthy enough to.
I mean, I've seen
next year.
Many a Met prospect and stuff like that. They go out to the Arizona Fall League and just tear it up. One of the names. This is a throwback. We'll call it Throwback Thursday, even though it's Wednesday. Lastings Millage. Remember that name?
Wow.
Oh, he was the 5-tool player for the Mets.
Wow.
And he'd hit 380 out in Arizona.
He pulled that one out.
Yep.
I think let's go a little football.
Going to the Wayback Machine there.
Football, Jets looking good, huh?
Okay, moving on.
Lost four in a row. And they got
Whoa.
They got the Dolphins coming up.
Not in a row.
They were 2-2 at one point. Now they're 2-6, aren't they?
No, they've only won one game. They beat the Cowboys.
Giants lost 4 in a row.
They beat the Cowboys, and then some people, I don't know if you saw this or not, but after beating the Cowboys, some people said, "Oh, they're going to beat the Patriots."
Lock.
I don't know if you locked it up.
Yeah.
They're absolutely horrible.
Oh, then against the Patriots, that's when
he saw
Ghost. Yeah, that was unfortunate that they had the microphone on the sidelines. He's got to deal with that. But the problem.
Interesting with that though, in the NFL Network or NFL Productions or whatever else, they can't mandate that. The Jets allowed Darnold to get mic'd
which
up.
is typical.
Yeah.
And Darnell looked terrible against New England. They looked terrible against Jaguars too. 2 bad games in a row. I mean,
one of the great lines I heard after the they beat the Dolphins. Darnold looked good, and then just looked like the quarterback from Manchester High School playing against Patriots. And one of the quotes was, "The Cowboys challenged how good is Darnold, and the Patriots challenged how smart is Darnold." So they just flat out schemed him, confused him.
Yeah.
Never had a chance.
And they made no coaching adjustments or nothing as far as.
Now, full disclosure, during the game, I'm at my house, Joe's at his house, and he starts texting me. And a little while in, I was like, "Joe, I'm shutting the game off. So I don't want to hear him."
Unwatchable.
Unwatchable.
Simple as that.
Yep.
The U word. And then Giants lost again. They lost another game against.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's
Meanwhile, the Patriots are just looking.
Now, best team in the NFL at this point. Who do you think?
Patriots.
How about the Packers?
No.
I think the Packers are real good because they have Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is the best player on the planet.
Yeah.
Football player. He just does things that nobody else can do.
Yeah, no question. I mean, athletically, he
just makes the throws. He lays out. Did you see the throw he made in the back of the end zone against?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah. And he does. Now he's a little bit more prone to he'll have that early interception and things like that.
He has no interception all year though.
The Patriots are just
5 games.
Now they're that good, but in the AL East they also start the season at 6-0.
Their schedule hasn't been. They play the Ravens this week, so that should be contested.
Yeah. I mean, basically the last few years they start the season at 6-0.
But
they're going to play the Bills twice, the Jets twice.
Their attention to detail and the way they run things is just unparalleled.
It's absurd.
I mean, they just do everything the right way, and they'll take you out of your game and now they're playing the Browns. The Browns have 3 turnovers on 3 straight possessions. That was amazing. Chubb runs the ball 70 yards and fumbles the goal line.
Yep.
Fumbles the next time. Then they throw it like a little shovel pass in the middle of the line, right to a defensive lineman, goes all.
Yeah.
It's just like 3 possessions.
Can you be that bad?
And actually, the Browns had a chance to beat them. That was a 14, 17-point gift right there. So I mean, who knows? But they played the Ravens. Should be a good test for them.
Yep.
Should be fun to watch. 49ers keep rolling. They're undefeated as the Patriots are.
Still that chance. Does
Joey Bosa's been tearing it up. Nick Bosa. Not Joey Bosa. Nick Bosa.
Could it be a Jets Niners or a Patriots Niners?
Jimmy G against Tom Brady. So that should be.
We'll see. Football season kind of ended for me about week 2.
Now the GM for the Jets is shopping a couple of guys, and Jamal Adams got all pissed off because he was going behind his back, whatever. But first of all, the GM just said he was taking calls. He wasn't shopping them.
Yeah.
Teams were asking about certain guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know what? Be quiet and play. Okay.
Your team's 1-6.
Yeah, just keep your mouth shut and just, maybe have an interception or two. God forbid.
Like I say, your team's 1-6. So what are we going to do? Just keep everything the same?
Yeah. You really blame everybody else, and they all want to jump off the ship. They traded Leonard Williams to the Giants, which basically,
which I think was that the only time that the Jets and Giants ever had a trade?
It's a good question. I'd say probably no, but recently, it hasn't been a while.
Yeah.
They've dealt each other.
Maybe the New York Titans dealt somebody to him.
Now, Kansas City, Mahomes is still out. He's coming back pretty soon. Matt Moore's their quarterback, and they lost to the Packers by a touchdown on Sunday. And the Dolphins went up to Pittsburgh. They took a 14-0 lead, and they're winning 14-3 right before halftime. Did you see this play?
No.
So it's 14-3 with about 20 seconds to go, and Mason Rudolph has the ball in midfield. And it's 3rd and 20. Okay, 3rd and 20. Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, the genius that he is, calls an all-out blitz in there with 3 guys in the backfield. Literally 8 guys coming at Rudolph, and the other 3 guys are man-to-man on the 3 other guys there. Rudolph just throws a little slant to this guy, Johnson, that was in the middle, that literally had nobody within 20 yards of him, and goes all the way and scores a touchdown on 3rd and 20. Yeah. It makes it 14-10 at halftime.
So,
most incredible thing I've ever seen.
So as much as I ripped apart my New York Mets, now you've got the Dolphins and the Jets who trade Bowles and Gase. Why? Because they're both incompetent. And
exactly right.
Go the other way. There you go.
Why in the world would you, on 3rd and 20, would you call an all-out blitz?
Yeah.
In like 30 seconds. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Whether they get their signals crossed or he called it, didn't call it, I have no idea. I didn't hear anything. But if I'm an announcer, I would call things out like that. Say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's the logic involved? But that was something else. Let's see what else happened in the NFL. Niners undefeated, Patriots undefeated. Saints playing well. Drew Brees came back from his thumb injury.
Yep.
Beat the Cardinals 31-9.
Yeah, and we had talked about that. No reason to rush him back. We'll bring him back when he's ready. Bridgewater did a great job in his absence.
Yeah, he was ready. He was healthy. You have a bye week next week. So what? He wants to play.
Yeah.
I mean,
game of the week coming up. I don't know when the show goes on. Game of the week coming up though. Jets fish.
Yeah, it's a big
Jets Dolphins. I mean, that's
who you picking?
Probably a 0-0 tie. I don't know.
I think the.
I mean, how do you watch that game?
No.
Let's see. I can rake leaves, or I can watch the Jets.
Dolphins should get their first win over your Jets. So
you're calling it. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
All right, I'm writing that down. Okay.
Yeah, I think they win.
Dolphins beat the Jets.
They're gonna win sooner or later. Put it that way. The Jets are a mess. And then it's funny. I think I did tell you about after every game they have Ray Lucas and Bart Scott evaluate.
Yep.
And after
this is on SNY, which is Sportsnet New York.
After the New England game, it was hilarious because they're like, okay, rate each section of the game, with a grade, A through F. So Sam Darnold, F. Yep. Running game, F. Defense, F. There's Ray Lucas and both Bart Scott, and they're both going F. So he said to Ray Lucas, how about the coach? And he goes, Z. Yeah. The other goes, Z. He goes, yeah. He goes, he made no adjustment, didn't do anything. He goes, it was the most unbelievable thing.
You got a guy, Darnold is showing signs that he knows what he's doing. He's showing signs that he's athletic.
He shows flashes of brilliance.
He's always turned, even in college, he turned the ball over too much.
Did, yeah.
But you got a guy just getting embarrassed.
Oh, my God.
And Gase is on the sideline, and he's not making adjustments.
No adjustments
he's saying,
whatsoever.
You know how to do this. Clearly, he doesn't know how to do this.
And they didn't throw any screens, draws, anything
nothing.
in the flat area to counteract. And they're coming from all different angles.
Give the guy a chance.
Darnold just throwing the ball off his back foot and just like, here you go. It was amazing.
He's throwing Hail Marys from the 20-yard line.
It was amazing. They got Le'Veon Bell going, what am I doing at this freaking horse and pony show? I left whatever I was.
So much for bringing Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So the poor Jets are just freaking mess.
Is it time to talk about golf yet?
We're getting there.
Okay.
Go ahead. Hit it. Tiger Woods with
All right. Well, hey, first thing.
Go ahead.
University of Hartford Lady Hawks.
Okay, what do you got?
Closed out the fall semester at the Sacred Heart Invitational.
Okay.
Week and a half ago.
How did we do?
With a win.
Wow.
Yeah, went down there, shot.
They win the conference, you mean?
No, it's just a tournament. So it's an invitational tournament. There was 8 teams there. Sacred Heart hosted it down at Great River.
First out of 18?
In Milford. And we had an 8-shot lead after the first day. Got pretty exciting.
Just hold the ball for last couple
got to play 36 more holes. So we it was an 8-shot lead and 13-shot lead. So we were in first place. Ended up winning by 6. So it was exciting. That was our last tournament of the fall. So
was there any strategy involved in that? You got a big lead. I mean, you play more conservative? Did you?
No, I mean, everyone's going to play their game. Yep. And but I'm out there. A couple of the women had kind of a tough start, and so you say, hey, look, okay, we had a cushion, we gave away the cushion, now we got to play like we're tied.
Okay.
And so we started. A couple of the women started the rounds off bad, but really we closed pretty well, and so it was exciting. So that was. This is 5 semesters I've been with the team. We've picked up our 2nd win. Wow. So that's it for the fall. So we're out of season now. So that was pretty exciting.
Fall's done already, okay. How many weeks is that? About 8 weeks, 9 weeks?
We played 5 tournaments in the fall.
Okay.
So we had Dartmouth, Boston College, Yale, our event, and then Sacred Heart.
So basically, play a tournament, you get more teams all at once at one time. Is travel-wise?
And these invitationals, and there's anywhere from. I mean, it could be as small as 6. Yale, Boston College. Okay. There's like 15, 16 teams.
Okay.
So it was good. It was exciting. In other golf news.
Picks up again in spring?
Yeah, in spring we'll go down to Daytona Beach in March.
Oh, so it's a 2-season sport.
Yep, play both seasons.
Fall, spring, nice.
Spring's pretty quick, so we'll play first week of early March, and then we'll come home. We'll play another event at Sacred Heart. We'll host an event, and then they go down to Disney World for the conference championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it was exciting.
Okay, good.
Yeah, happy. I was happy for them. They work hard.
Good.
In other golf news, Tiger Woods wins in Japan.
Number 62, is it?
82.
82.
So he's now tied for the most professional wins in history, tied with Sam Snead.
Sam Snead, wow.
He's also up to number 6 in the official world golf rankings, which is pretty interesting, given all the surgery and this and that and the other thing. Number 1, I think, is still Koepka. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, Koepka. Okay. Now, an interesting twist. We've got time, down the road, but how this works out. Tiger, and I think a little earlier than they probably should have, but they named him the captain of the President's Cup team. So President's Cup team is the United States versus basically the world take away Europe. So you've got Australian players. Ryder Cup is United States versus Great Britain and Ireland, versus Europe.
Okay.
The President's Cup, which George Herbert Walker Bush started, is the United States versus the world less Europe.
Okay.
So you can have a Canadian player, you could have a South American player, Australian players, Asian players.
How do you get invited to play that, or how do you?
It's a point system accumulated over 2 years. So right now the automatics are Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Matt Kuchar, Xander Schauffele, Webb Simpson.
Who?
Xander Schauffele. You don't know this name? No. Patrick Cantlay, Bryson DeChambeau, and Brooks Koepka. Okay. Now, Tiger gets to pick 4 players to go on the team. He's got 4 wild card picks. So the question now is...
How many players is it total?
So it'd be 12.
Oh.
So the question now is, does Tiger pick Tiger? He could. He's number 6 in the world. So he's the highest ranked player in the official world golf rankings who didn't get on the list because he just didn't play enough events.
Okay.
So you got Tiger can pick Tiger. Behind that in the world rankings, you got Tony Finau, Gary Woodland, both good players, had decent years.
Tommy Fleetwood.
He's a European. Can't get him. Patrick Reed, who's a pretty controversial guy in the golf world. Mm-hmm. Kevin Na is good friends with Tiger Woods. They get along pretty well, so that's a pick. But I think, given that Koepka is injured and may or may not be able to play, in my mind, I think Tiger picks 4 players and then holds himself back that if, as it turns out, Koepka can't go, then he can slide himself in there. But this would be the first time that you had a playing captain ever in the President's Cup. In the Ryder Cup years ago, Ben Hogan would do it.
So the captain just is like kind of a coach type thing?
Is a coach. Sets the lineup, goes out, reads putts, tells people, hey, play better, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Deliver snacks from time to time.
That's it.
So, something pretty exciting stuff.
Picks up the tab at Buffalo Wild Wings, right?
Got to put on the company
Things
card.
like that, yeah.
NCAA news.
What's up with that?
So we talked, in our last show, we talked that California and Florida had both passed laws that collegiate athletes could basically cash in on their name and likeness, whereas in the past they haven't been able to. And one of the questions that we talked about, that we raised, was, how does the NCAA handle this? You've got, if Arizona and Florida do it, and Arizona, or California rather, had done it, but it was going to be 2023. Florida's getting ready to pass it. It's going to be a lot quicker. The NCAA really can't let that happen, because now you've got any school in Florida, any school in California has got a huge advantage over those blue chip recruits.
Yeah.
So yesterday in Indianapolis, the Board of Governors of the NCAA, a unanimous vote, said this is going to happen, and the timetable is not necessarily firm yet, but in Division I, II, and III athletics, they're going to have to figure out how this all works. So Joe Appello, blue chipper out of Farmington, Connecticut, signs with Notre Dame. What you're not going to be able to do, Notre Dame, I believe, is an Adidas school, so you can't sign a contract with Nike. You can't go against the university's contract. But you own your name and likeness. You can, which means that you can sign with Gatorade, Monster energy drinks, whatever it happens to be. Maybe, I don't know, a sandwich shop, Subway, or something like that, as an example, and get paid, which, it's interesting. It really is going to change the landscape in some sports. So right now, in golf, it's not going to change anything.
There's 2 states, and it should be growing. Is that what you're saying?
California and Florida are. California passed it. Florida's basically getting ready to.
It starts 2023, though.
That was California. So I think the NCAA, it's 2022. But now the NCAA, so the Board of Governors of the NCAA is saying, this is going to be okay. That overrides. They don't need states to endorse this. So the NCAA, the governing body, is saying, no, this is okay. Now, on, say, the golf side, if Xander Schauffele, when he was in college, signs a deal with, whoever, Titleist, and gets paid, now he's no longer an amateur. So he couldn't compete in amateur events.
Right.
So golfers can get equipment, they just can't get money. But if this guy's getting paid by anybody, whether it's Gatorade or Powerade or whatever else, he can't play as an amateur. But it changes things a lot. Now, does it keep a kid in college longer? I don't think so.
Now, the guy Donahue came up with a movie coming out November 1st about, the guy Donahue, when he was indicted went to prison for throwing games as an NBA official.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's coming out November 1st this week. Some basketball movie about how he did that.
Yeah.
And he was saying about how, they used to go to these kids and say, listen, man, I'll give you $30,000. You can win, but just don't cover.
Yeah.
You're favored by 15, win by 13. And I get $30,000 for you. I mean.
And that, it brings up a scary point.
Amazing.
You got kids who have, in a lot of cases, not all cases, but in a lot of cases, these kids come from homes with not a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh God.
And now they get into college, and if it's $30,000 or $10,000 or $500.
And the guy's saying you're not going to lose. What's the big deal? We're winning anyway.
But now, as it comes to the name and likeness thing, now these kids are bringing in money, and it brings up the whole problem of, like, say, in the NHL, you got these kids that came from middle of nowhere Canada. They're 17, 18 years old, and they got a lot of money.
Yeah.
They make some pretty bad decisions.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that.
College football, you got Alabama, LSU, not this Saturday, the following Saturday. Alabama's on a bye. Yeah. That's a big one coming up.
LSU got a little scary.
Auburn's tough defensively, though.
Yeah.
But Ohio State looks like unbelievable. they look amazing.
Is Ohio State that good, or Notre Dame that overrated? Because that was a beatdown.
That's what's hard. It's hard to determine in Wisconsin. I don't know.
Michigan dominated.
Michigan's playing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michigan beat the one out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but there's that NCAA football is wide open at this point. I think there's no real dominant team. Alabama's young on defense, and Tua is injury prone, so they're shaking at. And then Clemson hasn't played that well. They're playing better lately.
Yeah.
But and then you get Ohio State's been mowing everybody down.
And I kind of thought the Ohio State-Wisconsin game was going to be a little closer.
Oh,
I think it was it 10-0 at the half? Or 10-7 at the half?
38-3 or something, or 35-10 or something like that.
I think it was 38 to something. I mean, because I was,
Yeah.
I happened to look at it at the half. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a good game. That's not for long.
That wasn't that. Wisconsin really hadn't played anybody up to that point too, so
Yeah,
But so that wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
But
how's the UConn Huskies doing? They doing okay?
now they play. It's funny because Houston beat them by 7, and then Houston almost beat undefeated SMU the following week. So that was kind of weird, really weird.
Yeah.
But UConn played. They beat UMass 56-34 last week.
Yeah.
So, all right, who wins tonight? Nationals or?
I'm going to go Astros.
I agree.
All right.
Got it.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, George.